Hey cousins, it's Saturday. Let's check in. Listen, it's the widow's wife, right? And so I stopped by real quick just for a moment because I had a moment. And cousins, I want to share with you this moment I had, okay? I know I'm smiling, but it was really heavy, right? I cried a little bit. I got my little tissue. Don't worry, it's a new tissue. But something I have concluded that I very rarely hear, and I've watched a few different widow podcasts, and I rarely hear widows talk about the desire to be remarried and what that really looks like in a real reality action time, right? Like live action. And it brought me to this very simple: attention versus alignment. Because there's a level, as a widow, there's a level of attention that's desired, right? And not like the old girl, I want you attention. Not like that. It's the attention that we become accustomed to in marriage, right? The person that knows me, the person that knows my snacks, the person that knows this face means don't talk to me for a minute, the person that knows this look means, oh yeah, that look good to me. You know, it's the small attention details that has been acquired over the course of marriage, and especially depending on how long you was married. This person know you like a book, right? This person know you like the next page number. But now you're a widow or widower, and that desire of that attention is still there. So it's a very, very, very sensitive area. It's a very sensitive area to be in, because then, I don't know for other widows, but speaking directly for myself, transparency, cousins, I get some attention, but not the desired attention, right? So I get a lot of surface attention. You know, you're pretty, you got a nice smile. I really want to tell people my late husband paid for this smile. But anyway, and so what happens is it's attention, not alignment. And so for me, that looks like, do you know my love language? Can you speak my love language? Because see, you can know a person's love language and not know how to speak it. But for me personally, you don't necessarily have to be fluid in speaking my love language. Effort and the try to want to learn, the try to want to put it into your repertoire. You know how like the little phrases go out and then all of a sudden it's what we're saying and doing, right? It's that for me. So when you get the constant, overwhelming attention of surface, you know, just this physical attention, it's overwhelming. It's draining, but it's overwhelming, because where's the emotional attention? Where's the spiritual attention? We forget that those parts need attention too. Yet we don't want to align so that those parts of attention comes into place. Because it's not a negative, but it becomes a negative because it's just only what you can get, right? It's only what you can get. And so, cousins, with more transparency, dude called, and it's not a negative because I'm not ashamed of nothing I've been through, but even in his calling, I reminded him, like, hey, you don't need to call me. I've said this more than once. Not understanding why we're still needing to call me. It doesn't make good sense. And it was the reality that I gave attention. I gave emotional attention. I gave physical attention. I gave mental attention. I gave moral attention. I I gave that consistent attention. I gave that, but it was never reciprocated. Brings me to there was never alignment. So there's this really sensitive area of the attention that needs to be in an alignment for it to be this very God-given thing. Clearly that wasn't God-given, okay? Now, we do know that God allows things, not necessarily that he ordained it. So even in that, learning that God allows for different things to happen, different people to come in to show you what surface attention looks like, to show you what manipulated attention looks like, to show you what attention that's misaligned looks like, feels like, and what the results bring. Because you just don't get it. You go through it. And then there are some results to that. Like if you leave the food on the eye too long, you burn it. There's a result. If you don't put deodorant on, there's a result. Okay? There's a result to everything given and done. And so I wanted to encourage you on today. Cousins, my fellow widow, my fellow widower, do not forget that there is an attention versus an alignment. And be careful but cautious to that attention and where it aligns in your life. And be okay with admitting if it's a misalignment. Because most times when something misaligns, we become shamed. And we become hurt, and we isolate ourselves, and we don't want nobody to know that we messed up, we made a bad choice. This is why I speak frankly about dude. And remember, his name is Dude for a reason, okay? Because we just leave his name at that. We're not gonna give you governments, because no. Anyway, and so if we can't admit to our mistakes, how do we truly learn from them? If we can't admit that we made bad choices and that those choices cost us something, gave us a thorn, then how do we learn? How do we heal? How do we know how to determine what's good and what's bad, right? So attention versus alignment. And even with that, my tears were not because of the misalignment. My tears were because I had to learn, even in this moment, in that very moment, to forgive myself for the misalignment. Because sometimes learning how to forgive yourself is the hardest part. Learning how to forgive yourself is the hardest part. Forgiving others is way easier than forgiving yourself. And in this moment, in this vulnerable moment, I had to learn to forgive myself for the attention that caused misalignment. Listen, you got another episode of The Widow's Wife. And so, listen, this is still the progress of a widow. Cousins, I hope this has encouraged you on today. Be prepared. Merchandise is dropping soon. Soon.